Hi, today I'm going to show you a beginning exercise for recruiting the muscle called the serratus anterior. So this muscle comes from the border of your shoulder blade, and it actually wraps sort of under the shoulder blade, forward around the side, and attaches onto a few of the ribs here, kind of at around the same level. And what this muscle does is it takes your shoulder blade and it protracts it around the side of your rib cage, but it actually grabs the lower part a little bit more, so the effect that it has is to upwardly rotate the shoulder blade. So when we're weight bearing on our arms, this kind of functions to stabilize the shoulder blade against the rib cage. As we're moving our arm in space upward, or if we're taking a swimming stroke up and over our head, when we elevate our arm up in the air, one of the main purposes for this muscle is to take your shoulder blade and wrap it around your side in order to upwardly rotate that shoulder blade. Remember, that's a ball and socket joint, so when you raise your hand up, you want that shoulder blade to wrap around underneath you. That's one of the main purposes of this muscle. Now, there's a ton of different exercises you can do to either target, isolate, recruit your serratus anterior muscle, or to actually use your serratus anterior muscle during a functional movement. But I think for a beginning, a good place to start for folks is just to be able to find this muscle and get it to fire. One of my favorite ways to do that is to actually go into weight bearing. If you walk back as if you're about to do a single arm push-up, obviously you want to be kind of off the ground here. Doing this on the ground is very challenging. Start up at counter height, maybe the armrest of a couch to make it a little more challenging, but no lower than that. Something stable that you can push into hard. Your arm should be locked, elbow locked. You walk your toes out to a position where you feel like there's a little bit of separation. You want at least 90 degrees of your arm from your trunk, maybe even a little bit more. Then once you go up on your toes, recruit your core a little bit more. Here's an important piece. You want to turn your trunk away about 20 to 30 degrees, right? So I don't want you all the way out here, but you don't want to be squared up either. So if you think about your toes, your belt buckle, and your sternum all turning about 30 degrees so that your arm is away from your trunk sagittal plane, a little bit on an angle, you're in the right position to do this exercise. The exercise then is just this. It's allowing your trunk, your rib cage, to fall down over your stable arm, and then you recruit this muscle. Again, this muscle is going to be right along the side of your rib cage, kind of exposed out around the lateral part of the lateral border of your shoulder blade, so right in through here. So you're going to recruit from right there in order to push your trunk back up. The keys here: maintain that 20 to 30 degree angle, maintain trunk extension, right? One thing that people do wrong when they're starting this exercise for the first time is they collapse their trunk, they collapse their posture, and they sag, and then when they go to push up, they round up, and it becomes much more of a trunk and spine movement. What you want to do is you want to get your trunk into a good extended position, and then you want to lock that in and maintain that position as you drop down and raise up. So the entire movement is really happening here, right? If you start in space and you make a fist and you keep your trunk completely stable, you should be able to make your arm an inch shorter or an inch longer. And that's this muscle, your serratus anterior, doing that movement for you. Now, if my arm is stabilized on a table or a countertop or the armrest of a couch, obviously this can no longer move, so my body becomes the moving part now. Hand on the belly button, kind of trigger a little bit of postural stability, maintain the angle, maintain extension, drop in, raise up. Another key here, when you drop, and this is also real challenging when this is new, don't let the top of your shoulder creep up towards your ear. So if I show you from this angle, when I drop in here, you want to avoid closing down the space between the tip of your shoulder and your earlobe. You need to keep that space opened up as you collapse and as you raise up. Good space for both of those movements, never bringing this upward. Good, so if you do this really slowly, focus on purposeful, deliberate movement, Try to smooth the movement out. It might feel a little ratchety at first. This is probably not something you want to do to full muscle failure at first. If you do a slow 5, 6, maybe 7 reps, you should be able to start to begin to appreciate some fatigue. It might not feel like it's isolated in that muscle. It might feel like it's in the shoulder, especially if you have any posterior rotator cuff weakness or any other issues. That's okay. Any general fatigue, the beginnings of fatigue, is probably where you should stop that one set of this exercise. If you do this really well, you will at least be aware of some activity in this muscle around the side of your shoulder blade into the sides of your ribs.